Do, 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 do. And I am going to assume that we have gone live. And so much fun. Such a fun way to wake up in the morning. Well, I think I was up till like midnight and then I watched a little bit of John Wick cuz well, it's John Wick, right? I mean, why wouldn't I? But I watched a little bit of John Wick 2, not one but two. And and I was like, well, hell, I was let's go to the 4 hours so you can see my mistake here, right? So I was like, oh, I guess this was like, what was this? I don't know, somewhere around here. I was thinking, oh, this could be something turning around. Anyways, I put in some buys and went to sleep, and boom, I'm in 1 inch sushi and dot. And yeah, that probably wasn't so good, right? So believe it or not, and I'll talk about this in a second, but I might be looking to get out of these like super early, like if I can, like take like less than 4% to get it into cash. And I'll explain why. That would be like 3%, 3.7%. So let's go to Bitcoin. So anyways, I'm in those three. I'm not getting out of those. Well, I might if I can. I'm not going to sell them at a loss. I'm going to hold them. Am I really worried? I am. Hey, if you're down on everything, I am down on everything also. I've got one thing that's saving me. It's that like the bulk of the crow that I bought was like, oh, for crying out loud, was like a long, long time ago. It's like 11 cents was like the bulk of the crow that I bought. The vet, um, I got like $300 of vet. It's what it's worth right now. Um, Cake hurts, right? But I'm auto compounding that, and that's not passive income. And maybe I'll talk a little bit about why pancake swap and stuff like that, that's not good passive income. That would be better for growing than it would for passive income. You put it in there and you forget about it, and you don't go all in on Coach but but you take apart stuff that, let me see, what did I tell this kid? Um, 100% of what you put in, you should just assume that you're going to lose it, and there's a cost to trading, right? But you should just assume that you're going to lose it. 50% of that, you should just assume that you've burned. And what I mean by that is maybe you buy, 100 of this stupid coin at 10 cents and 100 of this stupid coin at 10 cents, and you just burn it, right? That last 25% though, man, put that into something that you think is semi-solid, that you're willing to leave in there for 2 to 5 years, right? And that might be a little bit of a hope chest, right? Now, um, in 2017 when it went up, and then 2018 when it went down, I had uh, some BNB coin, and I purchased that BNB coin. I made two purchases. I made one purchase at $9, and I made another purchase at $11, and I left it. I just left it alone. I wasn't able to do anything with it back then. I wasn't able to auto compound or anything like that. But I knew that utility token would have value, that in 4 or 5 years in 2021 that when that made a run, it was going to be worth a lot more than 20 bucks, which, um, I think the last time that I looked at it in 2018, it was like 20 bucks. Um, and you just, man, it's the greatest surprise to open that up and see something that was like 260 bucks worth, like, well, holy cow. Anyway, so that last 25% compound, 25% of that, spread it out a little bit. I buy dumb coins all the time. You want to take your profits, right? So how do people talk about that all the time, taking their profits? And I will get to Bitcoin and stuff like that, but I just want this is so important for you to take your profits on the times that's up because I started with, and you're gonna laugh, I started with $200 in Bitcoin, and I have really increased that by a lot. And that's not just hodling. That's trading and then putting some away and putting some away and putting some away. I have just that because that account alone, because I have multiple wallets and stuff like that, which I think you should too. I should probably talk about that in something else also is security and spreading your shit around. Um, but it grows. And if you and I in this bull run, right? The safest thing to do in a bull run and an upward trend is to just buy when you can and hold. And if you see a clear break in the price, meaning that it's going to take a dive, then go ahead and sell some of your stuff, most of your stuff, whatever. Um, and stay in the market, right? Because this is a time in market value that's where all your gains are is your time in market. I'm not going to get a Lamborghini. Hell, if I got enough money to get a Lamborghini, I couldn't get in and out of a Lamborghini. So, um, but the important thing is not now. The important thing is 4 years from now. So in 2017, after watching 2000, I think it was 2013. In 2017, I knew that whatever I put in, whatever I could gain in Satoshi wise trading down was only going to be worth 20 times, right? And that is going down, right? And that's one thing that I'm going to get to when I do get to the Bitcoin part. Um, let's just go to the Bitcoin part. But I think the important thing is to take out your profits. Pull that out of this. When you put your money in, when you get 60%, pull money out and make a decision what you're going to do with that money. Are you going to take 30% of that? Are you going to take 30% of that and put it back into another token? Or are you going to take 30% of it and cash out and go buy dog food? Or are you going to go all in and just leave it in this one token, which that's not taking profit? As soon as you have profit, and it can start at 10%. As soon as you get that 10%, let's say that you put $200 down on something, and at 10% you've got 20 bucks. You could pull that 20 bucks out. And then next time that thing gets to 20 bucks, you can pull out that next 20 bucks. You now have 40 bucks that you can throw into another stock. We talk about using 1%. If you got $10,000 worth of portfolio to work with that you're actually gambling with, um, don't be dropping $1,000 trades, especially if you don't know what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, admit that you don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing. You shouldn't be following my trades. If you follow my trades, you're going to get wrecked because I'm looking at this when I'm not posting videos. So is every other YouTuber. If you can't follow people's trades, if you join a signal group, you're gonna get wrecked. And I'll expect, I got a whole like speech about the pyramid of wrecked, right? Which explains how little guys like you and me, we get absolutely screwed when these things go up, especially when you panic sell. It's it's better to, I mean, if you think, oh man, I lost all my money, I need to get out right now. If your heart's pumping, you just need to walk away. Don't make any trades. I know people that bought at 17,000 and they sold at 8,000 and they really didn't have to. They really didn't have to. But they weren't thinking 5 years from now, and these were young people. And that's the problem when you're young. You just don't think about when you're going to get old, how you're going to produce income when you can't work anymore, stuff like that. It's just a whole mentality. You got to have this thing worked out. I hate to say it because 401ks are crap. My 401ks are what I didn't lose in a divorce. My 401ks are utter crap. So, yeah, good luck with that, kids. The Biden administration, not getting political, but it is a fact that the Biden administration wants to tax unrealized gains, which is gains that you make that you haven't cashed out of. Um, so yeah, good luck with that. The on and on ramps for getting cash to crypto and crypto to cash, that's going to be real. So I'm glad I stalled because on Cake, and let's look at BTC, we are having we are having what could very possibly be the bottom of this drop. And God, don't quote me on that. Well, I mean, I said it and shit, but everybody who quotes me out of fucking context. Um, and I only say that because this right here, this six and this seven candle and the green, this looks good to me. Now, this makes me hopeful. This gives me a 50-50 optimism on the world. And if I could just get that 1%, I'd be smiling like crazy. On a TD sequential like this, I want to see a green one that is, I think we're one, two, three, yeah. So we're gonna have a red nine here. Whether we're gonna have some goofiness, some yellows, we don't know, but we're gonna have a red nine here. I'd like to see a green one, and then I'd like to see a green two. And then hopefully, if we're real lucky and that happens, in the next couple hours, then we've got a chance of hitting this 44 resistance marker here that my trading view has popped up for me with the TD sequential. And that would make me happy. The MACD, you know, oh man, these old guys that trade, I got to give it to them. The MACD is fairly good. I mean, we got a fairly good cross right here on the hour. Now, yeah, I don't know. I try to use different indicators to get a good feel of what things are doing, and right now this just happens to be what I'm looking at, including the TMA right here. So this has got a long way to get back up to this green line, and I would hope that it would hit the green line somewhere in the middle here, right? Somewhere in the middle in the next couple hours. So what is that? Like 9 a.m. tomorrow. Oh, 9 a.m. tomorrow, Tuesday. Yeah, moving into, hmm, something spooked me about Wednesday, Thursday, right? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday when I was looking at BTC and something else. Um, But yeah, okay. So I'm in. Um, I'm expecting this to be if I back out to my daily, right? We have slammed that support, which is what I was hoping for. So this is a continuation through here of what I saw as support. This right here, resistance turns into support. And not all resistance is, and not all support is horizontal, right? So that's what I was wondering about this right here. I drew this line up here and to show downward momentum, basically, to see to see what I would see inside of here. And to be honest with you, I mean, I might see something in like that too. So you gauge these things, right? You say, oh, I'm 80% confident it's going to go up, or I'm, 65% confident it's going to go down. I'm at that 50-50 mark, right? Um, I would love to see it bounce off of this 42. That would make sense to me, right? If it bounced off this 42, and I talked about this in the other video, the parabolic, there is no guarantee a parabolic will happen. But if we bounce off this and go back up here and bounce again, and then like start testing this, we could be into December, right? I mean, there's no reason why it couldn't drag out that long. And that might be good. That might actually be good because people will be looking for places to put funds very shortly. Like within weeks, people are going to be flipping out hard. You're probably getting the echo of my cans. Okay, but now I'm not trying to be some kind of whack job here, but I think that people are going to be looking for places to put money hard really quickly. And that would be China. That would be the Black Swan event. So yeah, so bad move, very bad move, very, very bad move. I jumped in. I just placed a buy. I can't place a buy and then have a stop come in right underneath the buy. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I did not wake up early this morning. I woke up, I let the dogs out, I fed them, sat in my chair for about 20 minutes, and then I went back to sleep. So I really screwed up on this trade. Um, so what is this on the 3 hour? Let's look at it on the 2 hour here. So we have a little bit of hope here. We'll start with the 1 inch. We have a little bit of hope. That's only, I know I say it's only. Other traders are like 7%. Um, I've already pulled my main bags out. I've already made enough in profit that what I started with, I have already pulled out and put into cold storage. Keep that in mind. So that's where I'm at with my trading right now. I can afford to lose this because if I shut down shop right now and come back in 3 years, I'm expecting to be in a lot of profit, even though some of these might be junk. I don't know. But 1 inch, I have some faith in 1 inch. I have a lot of faith in sushi, so that's only 4% right now that I'm losing. Um, I suspect, and this, I don't know when I drew this, can't remember now. Maybe, I don't know, yesterday, 2 days ago, right? This big thick bar here going all the way back down to here, right? So the fact that it touched it, that that doesn't really surprise me very much. Um, the question is, do I sell? And on the MACD, I never should have bought in. Is of course is what I'm seeing on the MACD. I wasn't even, I don't know if I was looking at the MACD. I might have been looking at that dumbass market cipher, which is not the real market cipher. I'm not going to use any tools that other people can't easily access and go on YouTube with. But, and I'm also not buying any tools. I don't have enough money to buy that kind of stuff. I got motorcycle parts. Um, and then Dot, same thing with Dot, which is, not looking all too bad at 4% down. But really, the main thing that you got to consider is that I got stopped out up here. I was able to buy a lot more Dot down here. If I had just held up here and said, "Oh no, it might not work out for me," then yeah. So I lost 3% here, but I picked up like I don't know, 10% more quote dots, more actual dot. And once again, the whole point of this is to gain the Satoshis. I'm not cashing out today. I'm not cashing out in a month. I am in this until 2025. 2025 is when things will start picking up again. So put it on your calendar, put it in your phone. 2025 is when you want to start looking at. I don't know if you want to cash out. I wouldn't cash out. Well, 2025, there's a reason to cash out when you start getting close to 2030. Um, and if you don't have enough Bitcoin by 2027, 2028, which is really not that much Bitcoin, I would say that it's probably zero point 0.5 Bitcoin in 2028. This will allow you to do things like use that Bitcoin as collateral for things like a house, or use that Bitcoin as a staked collateral for buying a car, right? You'd still make the payments on the car, but you would have a secured loan on that car, so to speak. And you might be able to do things like have a much lower insurance rate because the car is actually staked, if that makes sense. Not to mention just general lending. I mean, right now you're looking at what, like around 7% on the average for Bitcoin, and in the future that will only drop. That will only go down. So um, think carefully. And I mean, if you got gold, you should have Bitcoin. But China, Black Swan, I can't consider China a Black Swan event. Now, the reason is because a Black Swan event, if you look back in history, it's because I think it was these nutty old stock traders would say things like, well, that can't happen, or that would be a black swan. And then someone somewhere took a picture of a black swan. And then a little bit later, people were like, there's black swans. And everybody went out looking to take pictures of black swans, and they found them, and they're out there. There really are black swans. They happen all the time. What's happening in China is exactly what people have been saying is going to happen in China for the last decade or longer. China has a very strange culture to Westerners. It's very hard to wrap your head around. Their housing bubble is very real, and it's really going to drag a lot of things down. Um, Two things are clashing here, right? The east and west mentality on property, the east and west mentality on wealth. Okay, so how did China get themselves into this? It's actually a combination of a few things. They have a very interesting investment market, and like a lot of places you can buy developments that they're not built yet. And the idea is that right. most of these ghost cities, and I would suggest that you Google that and look at that on you look up that on YouTube. But we'll try that. You can see my printer in the background. Oh, the printer. I love my 3D printer. But you have these ghost cities, right? And go look them up on YouTube and check them out. These things have been around for like 12 years, right? I mean, and what it is these developers come in and they get so much help from the government to get permits, to get financing, to unlike other companies in China, they're a global trading market. So this company was like globally traded. You could buy stocks or at least wrapped stocks of this company, and meaning that it was part of a portfolio of stocks. And people invested because this has been a bubble going on for like a decade. People have been making money for like forever inside China in this market. And it's so weird because China is really backwards in some serious stuff, right? So in America, the whole idea is to get a house payment that is less than what your apartment payment would be and still have a yard, right? Or in China, it's actually, and I looked into this like 3 or 4 years back, and I was actually shocked, right? So in order to get the property, and this was like with a 15-year loan, in order to buy the property, it would have been almost $8,000 a month. In order to live there and rent in the kind of same area and kind of the same style, it would have been like 1,400 a month. So that's a huge barrier in my mind to get into the market. Now, most of these ghost cities are 80% empty, and they're not they're not so much dilapidated. They get dilapidated, but the construction in China is just not very good. And that's me being kind of polite. They have buildings that recent construction buildings that have fallen down, and we're talking big apartment buildings, right? And you never hear about this on the news. You have to go deep into the web to find this stuff, but it's a lot more common than you would think. Watching, whole facades of buildings just slide off of a building and what looks like a pretty populated part of China. Um, but it's not. It's 80% unoccupied. And how did it get this way? Well, the people who made money in China, right? They want to invest. And where do you invest? You invest in real estate, and that's what they've been doing. And this has been kind of a global thing. The Chinese ghost cities, they actually have, what is it, like Angola or something? There's like a Chinese built ghost city in Angola. And there's just Chinese, wealthy Chinese people that own a completely empty, unfurnished apartment in Angola. And Shangshin City is the same way. These buildings, they just get roughed out. So I'm trying to explain this to Americans because I don't think Americans would get this whole concept, right? If you're an American and you're going to buy an investment property, right? You're going to buy a condo as an investment property. Well, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to rent it out. You have to be able to rent it out. It has to have a kitchen. It has to have a bathroom. It has to have carpet or flooring. It has to have painted walls, all of these things that it's like we would say in America, boom, got to get that done, start renting it out. For some reason, it's not like that in China. And the way that it was explained to me was that when you buy something in China, if you decorate it, you are actually lowering the value of it. Because the next person that comes in is not going to like your kitchen. They're not going to like your bathroom. They're not going to like the paint that you chose, right? And that there's this kind of, why do it if I'm only going to sell it, why do it if the person that buys it is only going to want to Right. They're only going to want to put in their own kitchen, their own. So what doesn't make sense to us makes perfect sense to them from where they're coming from. The problem is that 80% of these things are just roughed out. They don't have bathrooms. They don't have, some of them don't have freaking windows. And it's not the greatest construction. Now, if these buildings are falling down, and these aren't old buildings, these aren't buildings that were built in like the 90s. These are buildings that were, built in like 2000 that I've seen that have been falling down from what I've been able to figure out. And I've just been kind of watching this. I like Chinese martial arts. I practiced martial arts a long time. I've always wanted to go to China, and I just kind of keep my ear to what the Chinese are doing culturally, right? But the ghost cities we've known about for at least 12 years. This bubble has been building. So these are international corporations in the sense that they've been getting investment money. And eh, when I say that the Chinese construction is not that good, it's because you have so many levels of, if you've ever done anything with construction, you know that you have windows in order to get things done. You have phases that you need to complete before you really can go on to the next phase. And there has to be a level of quality because you're building on top of, something else. If your studs and your walls are crap, then the sheet wall that and your the sheet wall that you put up is not going to be a, feel like a good quality. But now imagine that at every step of this process of this multi-phase, giant budget, giant number of contractor project, that every contractor is cutting off 10% of the quality, right? And that's literally what happens. So nobody is buying these houses because it by now it's got to be crazy to try and purchase property as opposed to and I got a nutty story that I heard from someone who lived in China um, about a light bulb. They just it's just cheaper for them to rent, and so multimillionaires or even people trying to become a millionaire will buy these condos thinking that, this bubble, this is just going to keep going, and it has finally burst because there's way too many empty places on the market. Nobody is buying them. The Chinese government has been covering it up. When the bubble almost broke on China, right? That's when China allowed international investing to come in and do this and get in on the bubble, so to speak. So then the new money came in and it's been building ever since. And these are big ass hedge funds, whether they're sketchy hedge funds or not. These are big pocket investors, big corporations making them part of their portfolio and calling it, their infrastructure investments when really they're just kind of milking this market. And it's gone. It's all gone. A lot of Chinese people at the low level, they paid for houses that they can't even move into. But that's not even the majority of what's going on. The majority of people that own these apartments, I mean, in some cases, there's Chinese laws that say that like you're only allowed to have two houses, right? Communism, right? You're only allowed to have two houses. So people get divorced so that the wife can buy two houses and the husband can buy two houses so they can have four houses. And they will live in a small apartment and pay these crazy rates to get in on the ground floor of these things, right? And before anything's built, before any land's cleared to get in on the ground floor. And then as things start to get snowballing, more and more people want to get in on it. They build half of it because by American terms, if you don't have a toilet, if you don't have somewhere to poop, you're not done building the building, right? So that's why I say that. But remember, that's all roughed in. And that's what's happened is the bubble has just come in. And all of these corporations, we're going to find out who was dumb enough to throw their money into an obvious bubble, something that back in 2016 they were calling this a bubble. They were saying that any day now this is going to pop. So I can't see this as a black swan event because a lot of companies, a lot of smart investor, the real smart money should have stayed out of this, right? So that's what I'm getting with that. That's why I don't quite think this is the black swan event. I think that all the markets are shaky right now. Um, and this is obviously going to affect everything. I don't know if this is really affecting Bitcoin though, because I there were other things in the TA that was just making me think that it wasn't going to be as easy of a recovery as everybody was hoping for, or as quick, or even this parabolic move, right? Because that parabolic move that everybody wants, and God, it just gets nuttier and nuttier the more that Bitcoin goes sideways, right? Because everybody's talking about, I, I just heard like 250,000. Look at how much I have to scroll. Do you know what the market cap would have to be overnight? This is the month. This is the month, right? The market cap 250. That's 400%. That's wishful thinking. And I don't think it works like that. I think we're dealing with a gentle slope curve, right? I mean, down here, oh, what did we get down here? Down here we got like, I don't know, like a 40 times, a 100 times, a 40 times. I'm only really seeing like I'm not seeing the same amount of times. I don't know. I can't call it yet, but from here to here, that's not that much, right? That's where I would measure it. So that's like a 5 times in value. Hmm. Oh, you're not looking at what I'm looking at. There we go. Yeah, so I'm only seeing like a 5 times in value here, to be honest with you. And a 10 times would be nice, don't get me wrong. But if we did a 10 times, let's say from here, we go up and we do a 10 times. Do, 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 do. Oh, that's not right. Where am I on the month? Do, 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 do. Yeah, that's not 200,000, 250,000. So I don't think it's going to happen. And I'm not so sure that a parabolic will happen again because the more money that comes in, the less money going out, the less likely that we're going to see a parabolic in my mind. And that's just because people are not putting money into this like everybody's hoping they will. The amount of cash that would need to go into the market and altcoins, when people start pulling out of altcoins and start putting back into BTC, we'll see this kind of notchy going all the way down. And then once people are done taking money out of altcoins, then BTC will start to stabilize and then it'll go back up. And we could have already seen a top. This could have been it. That's a scary thing to say. It's a dumb thing to say because, people would be like, "Oh man, he said the top was at 65." But if I get some good sideways, if we never hit here and we do something like we go sideways until like December. What would December be? Yeah. If we go sideways in here, I would be happy. If we go sideways in here and then we jump in here and we go sideways a little bit more, I would be happy. I'd be ecstatic if that's what happens because if we get down to here, which is, let's go for 30K, we could easily go down to, well, shit. What would we go down to? I would say that 70 to 80% from the top would be what I would think. So 70 to 80% would be 17,000. So, and just to screw around with it, right? I got other stuff back here. So let's say the bottom was 3 grand, right? Do 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 do. Go from the top. Oh, we're gonna have to squeeze this, lift it up a little bit, because you're not gonna like this. 3 grand, right? That's what I said. There's 3 grand. That's 84%. It's how far we could go down. You know, this was a huge parabolic on the day. This was a big parabolic for the day. So we could easily see things go down. We could easily see things go down really, really hard. Should you freak out? Probably not, right? Because if we're here and we're talking about 17,000 or something like that, you want to front run that. Well, selling almost anywhere in here hopefully will give us some form of a channel to buy back in if we have a screw up. But if we sell in here and then it drops below this line, ooh, we're in Satoshis, right? And that's what we want. That's what we want is we want to buy below that line because we want to set ourselves up in the future. And then whether you try and buy at the bottom, would you turn down $3,000 Bitcoin right now? Let me just ask you that because in 4 years from now, you're not going to turn down $20,000 Bitcoin. Let me just put it that way. And that might be a good baseline to look at it as is if we go down to 20,000, I'm not saying we're going to, but if we were to go down to $20,000 after this run, which oh wait a minute, okay, we're going to do it. I'm just going to say right now, unless we hit 300,000, which I don't think we're going to do, we're probably going to hit 20,000 or much lower from looking at this. If we make it to 95,000, in the way that I think we're going to make it there, then we'll probably go down to 27, 28,000 easy, right? But if we're not going any higher, we got to look at what our possible bottom could be, and we got to look at when we want to get out and when we want to get back in. So if we sold halfway here and we went down, that's like 30 to 23,000, which would be front running, right? Because the whales are going to beat you every time if you don't buy before them and sell before them. That's 33% of Satoshis that you can pick up. So if even if you're underwater right now, that's really my point is that you're not out of the game. Even if you're like me and you've got well, I've still got some cash. I got a wee little bit, but even if you're almost all in with your portfolio, you can still make it out of this, right? It's still not that bad. Even cake, right? Cake could go all the way down easily down to $9 again, $10. And if I wouldn't mind buying it at $10. Um, so we're really looking at and cake could go down a lot more than that. That's kind of wildly optimistic here. But if I mean, $7 could go down to 750. And that's what we're looking at. That's the volatility of this market. So a black swan event, all of this stuff in the news. Um, yes, it has effects, but you only see the same pattern. You see weak hands selling and you see large purses buying it up at low prices. And anytime, if you tell me if panic sells work, right? Tell me if they work. That's what I would like to know because they have never panic selling has never worked for me at all. Coming up with a plan, even though that I may have, I mean, even though I may have lost value here, and I know I did, and I feel bad about it, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't hurt my tummy. Um, yeah, yeah. There's a way out of this. This is in the long run, in the grand scheme of things, this is not bad. I would like to see this go up. So let's look at BTC on the hour one more time. There's our 8. There's our red 8. 18 minutes left on this candle. What does that look like? Does it look like an engulfing candle? Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Hopefully, this will turn around and we will see a red one or a green one shortly. Probably 2 to 3 hours from now, maybe 4. But all right, I have really babbled way too much. And hey, have a good day at work tomorrow.